2 title fights this weekend in UFC 320, and that means a new wages and warriors, finding the bets, finding the action, finding best ways to make a little bit of money and get the money back that you probably paid for the pay-per-view. So make sure to like, share, subscribe if you hate it, subscribe if you love it, and tell your mom and your girlfriend too as well. But it's very exciting fights. We have a rematch. We have Merab, who possibly could be, if he seals this one, really solidify himself as the greatest bantamweight fighter we've ever seen, but I already think he is. We have that. Plenty of other fights too that are very exciting that we'll get into as well. And also make sure to subscribe to the Bull Crew podcast. There's going to be a new one coming out. Washington Commanders versus Los Angeles Chargers is this weekend. And we'll break that down all tomorrow with myself, Dave Pele, and Josh Pele too. So make sure to check that out as well after you get a little dose of your UFC action for 320. All right, so before we get into the big championship fights and, the great fights that we have let's go ahead and look at some of the stuff we have with Abus Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer in the middleweight division. That's going to be on before the big dogs hit the octagon. Abus, he's won on every card that Magomed's won on, so maybe you'll parlay that action together if history repeats itself. But he's a very, very, very good fighter. His only losses have came to guys you probably heard of in Kaio and Sean Strickland, who are up there for one of the better fighters in the middleweight division. Kaio is coming off a very tough loss, but what are you going to do when you fight in away territory in a guy's hometown? Besides that, Abus has been extremely, extremely good, and he can, beat you different ways, but mainly that takedown is what he loves to do and loves to do in the octagon. 2.65 takedown average is pretty insane. Faces Joe Pyfer, who's more of a striker. Boxing is his preferred fighting style. He wants to stand, he wants to throw, and he's going to chew you up from a distance. He had a pretty impressive outing this past summer versus Galsum, where he just kind of beats the crap out of him. But now he faces a fighter in Abus that's a little bit more experienced in taking him to the ground and kind of doing more damage there. Not the most classic style, I would say, of a striker versus a grappler, but a little bit more of that action, because if Abus does want to stay up and go, he can't do that, and he's pretty comfortable with it, and he can do his damage there. So it's not like completely out of the ordinary. That being said, his only losses have came to the guys, like I said, that are best in the division. And with his power of taking someone down, I don't know if Joe has enough to kind of stop it. I don't really trust his takedown defense that well. And plus, Abus has been a little bit more active. I know Joe just fought, but before that, it's been a little bit. So I'm going to double down against the boxer. I'm going to double down on a guy that's going to take him to the ground and do a little bit more damage that way. So that's what I would do in that first one in the middleweight fight. Next one that you have is Josh Emmett versus Yosef Zalal on the featherweight bout. Josh Emmett, I mean, the dude's freaking 40 years old. I feel like since I was born, he was in the UFC. I mean, that honestly might be true. Obviously very talented. Obviously a house, I don't know if household name, but household face. If you show up to a casual, people are like, oh, I know exactly who Josh Emmett is. And he gets a guy in Yosef that 3 of his last 4 fights that he's won. So 4 straight wins for the kid. 3 of those have been won by submissions. He's a submission artist. He is a guy that will get you there, and he will keep you there the whole damn time. You ain't getting up. As soon as you go down, you're not getting up. And if you do get up, you're going right back down. It's like Hamzat, but not as dangerous. And in this, it's kind of very easy. It's a simple one for me. Josh Emmett is an older fighter who stepped back in the octagon after being out of it for around 2 years. His first fight back, he goes 5 rounds with Laron Murphy, which is, Murphy in his own self is a very dangerous fighter, currently undefeated, and does well against him, goes the full 5. But at this age, where he faces a guy that is 11 years younger and has looked this good in his past 4 fights and has gotten finishes at 3 of those 4, I think Josh Emmett's going to have his hands full, and he's going to be put at a pretty big disadvantage in this one. I think if, you have any confidence in Josh, it's because you go, oh, he's a very experienced fighter, and maybe there's just some tricks up his sleeves that simply Joseph just doesn't have yet, or maybe the pressure of the environment kind of gets to him, and that's why you kind of lean on taking Josh Emmett over him. That being said, I don't think the environment's going to be that big of a problem. I think Josh Emmett's going to get overwhelmed. So Joseph's a minus 425 favorite for this, and I think that's what screams everything what I've been saying. So I would take Joseph by submission over Josh Emmett, or just take the fight to not go the full distance, or with it to end within the distance. You can find better odds there if you go that route. And the next fight that we have, so exciting. If you wanted to get someone into the sport, you show him Yuri versus Roundtree Jr. This is the fight that you show them because combined, these guys have 3 takedowns. So they're just, it's going to be a kickboxing match. It's going to be a boxing match that's in an octagon, right? You're not going to be, watching 2 guys just lay on the floor for a little bit. They're both these guys are extremely exciting. Both these guys did their best against Alex Pereira, but just fell to the guy that's one of the best in the world. And all of this to me, and I'm very biased, but all of this screams Yuri. I think Yuri's pinpoint accuracy, his reach, his calmness that he shows within a fight, just all goes to him and not Roundtree. Both are very dangerous on the feet, but I think Yuri is just a more lethal striker that can be more active and cause more damage. Where I think Roundtree is just going to be a little bit of a disadvantage on it. I think what Roundtree obviously has a very, very strong chin. I would say a chin for days. He went pretty far with Alex Pereira in that fight. And there's moments where he kind of caught him and he took a lot of damage and stayed up before he ended up ultimately falling down. But because of this, you see in a lot of in the market of the fight to end by KO, TKO, minus 225. Submissions 8-1 if you really want to talk some crazy, crazy, crazy value. But I think the best way to go is that this fight's going to end by decision plus 200. I think both guys have good enough chins and both guys are leaving on strikers where they're just going to really torch each other up all day, but they're going to stay tall because of how equal they are as fighters. I just think it goes a full distance because of that. And it's going to be a great brawl in between. So I'm going to go ahead and take Yuri. I think Yuri wins it, but he's a favorite. So if you want to put him in a parlay, that makes sense. But ultimately, for it to go decision plus 200, I think it's a very smart move. All right, now we have the greatest bantamweight fight that we've ever seen in Merab versus Cody Sandhagen. And Sandhagen's a 4th ranked fighter in this division. He's getting his title shot because he's a company man. He's very talented. But I just don't know about this. I would rather see. I don't know when Umar is going to be back necessarily. I want him back fast because I think a rematch with him and Merab is probably the most likable option. Take that back. Umar fights literally in a couple weeks on October 25th against Mario. I think he's going to beat the living snot out of him. But Umar, I think, kind of deserves a better shot or reshot at Merab versus Cody does. But look, Cody's intelligent. He's a balance. He's a great MMA fighter. His stand-up solid. His jiu-jitsu solid. His wrestling solid. But simply when he gets the tallest of the tall tasks, he falls short. Umar beats him. Peter Yan beats him. And now he's getting the greatest fighter. I'm not for it. I don't see a way which Sandhagen can either brawl with him, either take him down, out-grapple him, out-condition him. It's just, I think Cody's heart and his intelligence of the sport will keep him alive in the fight and will keep it going and keep it progressing. But I think Merab's just everything that Cody does, Merab just can do better times 1,000. And, Cody takes pride in him being like this ultimate MMA fighter, this ultimate balanced guy, which he is. But Merab's just simply better at it. His engine's undeniable. And I think Cody kind of got blessed for getting this title shot. Kind of hit the lottery, but he didn't hit the lottery because he has to face this guy. So Merab's going to win. I think Sandhagen's heart keeps him up. I think Sandhagen's wrestling keeps him out of a submission, and I think his stand-up keeps him from falling down, from getting in a little too dangerous of a spot. But I think Dwalishvili ends up winning it not within the distance, to go to the distance, to win by decision. I think that's Merab. And it's at minus 225. If you want to get a little more dangerous with it, I think there's probably better ways to kind of find value. Fight to end within the distance. Look, is there a way that Merab does kind of get him in submission? Yeah, I do kind of see that happening. That wouldn't surprise me. It's 9-1. Just because he's that lethal. That's something I would sprinkle on just because I think that's an insane price. Merab can get anyone. He can pick up and throw anyone to the ground. So A sprinkle would be 9-1 because I just think that's ridiculous odds for a guy that is that technical and that strong on the ground. All right, now we have the big daddy of them all, the rematch between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. Light heavyweight bout. So first go around, I was big on Magomed. Big on it. I bet a lot of money. I thought a lot of fights in a row for Alex in a very short span for a guy that is a little up there in age. Very hard to be the champ and be that active and do everything that comes with it. And he's talked about this. You know, he quickly became a fan favorite in the UFC. His popularity really grew. And when your popularity grows, more sponsorship opportunities, more opportunities kind of just come to you. And things are harder to do. It's harder to train more often because you have something to do in this part of the country, in this part of the world, yada, yada, yada. You have more responsibilities. I think all of that did a lot to Alex Pereira and made it hard for him to get ready for the hardest fight of his career. And he didn't go in there 100% healthy. I think he probably went in there more tired than ready. And he ends up losing the fight. Doesn't go down in the fight. Won some rounds for sure. But at the end of the day, Magomed takes over and wins the belt. Now he gets to round 2. I think Pereira's found that thirst for a title again. I think he wants to make his statement. And the guy that's in his way of making this statement is Magomed, who has a very, very big mouth. All this goes to Alex's favor. He thought he won the last fight. Okay, I don't know about that, but adds more fuel to the fire. I think his striking's gonna improve, obviously. I think he's very ready for a takedown to be shot. I don't think it is, but if it does, I think Alex will be very much ready for it. He's gonna be at his best. He's looked like one of the best fighters of the past century. And he's plus money at plus 230. The revenge is coming, and I think it's time to back Alex Pereira once again to take over as a light heavyweight champion of the world. A short run by Magomed. Maybe this is a third round type of situation where these guys are going to go at it for the third time. I imagine it will be because of how talented they both are. But Alex Pereira will be fresher, will have more of a thirst, and will be healthy for this fight. And when that guy's firing on all cylinders, you can put Captain America and the whole Avengers are in that octagon, and they're going down. He gets his revenge on Saturday at UFC 320. He's going to be the new champion of the world, and I think Magomed's going to fall. I can't wait for it. It's going to be so exciting. Make sure to get it. Make sure to sit there and watch it and enjoy it. The college football slate's not that great, so you get all the action in there. That's all I have for you on Wages and Words with myself, Mario Herron. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Bull Crew Podcast out as soon as this ends. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let's go, Alex Pereira. Pull off the upset. Let's go.